POPO attracts introverts.
Oh,
So
I'm a major introvert,
there you go.
off the charts introvert.
There you have it. There you have it. So you've been doing the fest, like I know of it myself and Linda Crossfield and you as have done it every time. And I think there's a couple more, but I can't pull their names up.
I don't, I was trying to remember how I learned about you guys. It must have been Facebook
Wampo.
somehow. But yeah, I'm just so lucky I stumbled onto you guys.
Why do you say that? Why do you say you're lucky?
Oh, it's been such an enrichment. It's it's a festival, but in my book it's like a major holiday. It's like up there with Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. It's just August. And I love getting poems. I love getting original art. I love getting stuff in the mailbox that is not a bill.
You know, you said that about the fest a couple of years ago, and it really struck me as very perceptive and consistent with how I do it. And then I went on to think about the other, just this year, to think about the other seasons as I have constructed them, reflecting my own personal mythology. So I think we've just finished leftover season because Thanksgiving, you have a feast, and if you host, you got a lot of food left over, and it's like turkey sandwiches are just the best. Grilled turkey and cheese sandwiches after Thanksgiving are just the best. And it's like you're going to have one the day after, and probably on that Saturday too, and maybe Monday and Tuesday. And then, we didn't cook the turkey because my partner doesn't eat meat, so she said, "We'll serve it, but you have to bring it over." So leftover season is one, and then the holidays is another, and then there's New Year's resolution where you're trying to stick with some of the things that you set out for the year. And then you can think of it in different ways. I'm not big on Valentine's Day, but Imbolc maybe February 1st, the midwinter night, and then go on and on. But it's interesting to think of, to extend your notion that from July 4th to the end of August is postcard season.
Yeah.
So tell us how the Postcard Fest, how POPO augments your own poetry practice, composition practice.
Well, to be honest, I have to confess, I don't write the poems directly on the postcards first, mostly because my handwriting is indecipherable. But the thing that I love about it is no pressure. There's absolutely no pressure. I have a regular workshop that I've been meeting with for more than 25 years. And there's always some pressure when you're prepping those poems for that workshop. I mean, the people are great, the interaction's wonderful, but pressure that the poems have to be at a certain caliber. And with these poems for the postcards, I try to make it fun. I try to make it more off the cuff. And lately I've noticed I've developed a pattern where I'm starting to play around with different forms. Like some years I'll do a tanka, some years I'll do a haiku, some years it's sonnet, some years it's the last couple of years I've started making up my own forms, which is pretty fun.
What's an
Uh,
example of that?
well, like for this year, because it's August, I'm trying 8-line poems, and loosely eight syllables per line, but I'm not as hardcore on that as I would be, like, for example, a sonnet. And that's another great thing, because it's the postcard festival, it doesn't have to be to the book.
So take us through your composition practice. You have a pad of paper, you sit at your desk, you have the list of names. Do you have a stash of cards already? Do you ever make your own cards? Do you write down the name of the person? And I mean, take us through the whole process.
Yeah. Different years, it's been different things. I started with vintage postcards, but then I have a letterpress. And so there's some years where I've letterpressed all of the postcards. And it's been different themes, different times. Like the first time I did it, I found an old block that was an open hand. And so then I found all these little teeny tiny random things that I glued to it, hoping that what was in the hand would be a trigger for the person's next poem. And so it was anything from a charm to like a piece of kids' candy that was nostalgic to, a stamp to, whatever I could think of. One year I found some vintage postcards that were all women magicians from like the late 1800s, which was really fun to send out. The last couple years, I did a series of poems that were letters to Frida that were written on the back of postcards that were all her paintings. And another time I worked with some Emily Dickinson books, and I letterpressed those postcards, and all of the poems were letters to Emily. And so it's different from year to year.
You are seeding the potential poems in the cards that you send out. You're already thinking when they get mine, they'll read it, and maybe I'll do a little kind of voodoo thing where they might get an idea for the next poem.
I hope so. That's the evil plot.
Tell us about your bonus card practice.
You know, that's one of the best things about the festival is seeing everybody's name from year to year when they reappear. And so the years where I managed to swing it, I'll send postcards along to those people as well. Um, some years I just can't pull it off, and I always feel a little sad when I'm not able to do that. But yeah, the intent is always there.
Right. 3 things you love about the fest.
Oh my God. Well, I love the poems. I love the surprises. I love that they come in from all over the place. I love, actually, I'm probably one of your leaders. As it's getting time to sign up, I'm always trying to get people to participate with me. And I've had some luck some years. I've had some friends do it. It's not for everybody, but those that do it, they're really, really happy when they do.
Yeah. What would you fix about the fest if you were the queen of POPO?
Oh, I actually wouldn't really mess with it. I mean, I think one of the things that makes it work is that it's pretty loose. There's the basic guidelines, and you work with them to the best of your ability and try and around with them as well. Part of having these themes and these forms that I play with some years, it's like, okay, if I'm going to put all of this work into it, might as well come out with a chapbook at the end of it. So like the Emily and the Frida poems, they turned into chapbooks. And it's kind of nice to use the August Poetry Postcard Festival in such a way that you're not only loosening things up, but then you wind up with this beautiful thing afterwards. And like with the Frida chapbooks, I actually shared some with those people that raised their hands that said they wanted a copy. And so it was really nice to be able to pass that present along to other people.
And that passing along or that offer went out on the Facebook page?
No. Oh, it must have, because there's no other way to do it. Yeah.
How does the Facebook page help or hinder the fest?
Oh, you know, um, I can't really say that it's hindered. I mean, one of the things that I love is seeing like newer people being so excited about it. And I love people's excitement as the postcards start coming in, whether you're new or not. And I think it's one of those things where it kind of cements us as a group, you know. Those friendships that start there on Facebook, they carry out in different ways.
When you bring your chapbooks back, the chapbooks that are generated through the fest, to your group, I mean, what kind of things do they say? How do they respond?
Um, Introvert, I'm afraid I haven't shared with my workshop. It's terrible. It's it's one of those, like, it's something that I do for me, and it's kind of like this, I don't know, secret parallel poetry life. I should probably change that up, shouldn't I?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when I start doing the fest, I try and get as early start as possible. Try to start writing on the 4th of July, so I have time. And then when I start writing these things, it has its own sort of rhythm, its own biorhythms, and there'll be a few good ones, and then there'll be ones that are just kind of, churned out. But then I'll read them at the open mic, and I'm like, open mic is sort of like publishing it, but there's only 30 people in the room or whatever, so I don't really consider it official publishing, uh, you know, and I'll do it in August or July, and it's like because I feel so good about it, or there's something current that you want to, relate to the group. So yeah, I share them, but I'm approaching my 900th postcard, and I've only
Nice.
I've only shared a fragment of them. I might be publishing a book of them, but it would be nice to see your chapbooks. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, thank you.
What advice would you have for someone considering joining the fest?
Do not put any pressure on yourself. There is absolutely no wrong way to do it. And there is no judgment. It's a very friendly group. Just have fun with it.
There are folks in your town who are POPO regulars and who've gotten together a couple of times. Talk to us about that.
Gabriel gathered us together for the first time, and that was wonderful to meet Tim and Carmen. I'm afraid I haven't been able to catch up with them since, but it's lovely to see Carmen on Facebook, just on her regular Facebook page and all of the art things that she's involved with. One of these days, I'm going to show up at one of her art things and surprise her. It'll be great.
Good idea. Do you want to read one of your postcard poems?
Oh gosh. Let me see what I might have. Unedited, so. And my handwriting is terrible. Okay. The poem is a temple or a green field, a place to enter unafraid, for corn tassels or sunflowers are but lights in the blue sky corridors, leading us back into the damp interior of shadow and cool leaf, cloudburst, and where, if we quiet, the spiders and beetles will reveal their holy work, even as the worms dig deeper still towards unseen glory.
Amen, Judy Jenson. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. And the other thing about your notion of a season is that there's a lot of sunniness. There's a lot of, nature at its best in postcard season. And that, I think, helps evoke that kind of thing that you said, that it is actually a season. It's a time of year. And I'm really grateful that you've done it for every year that it's happened. It's really a beautiful thing.
Feel so special to have had the opportunity.
Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
I guess just a side note, that poem and this season's poems, they were a conversation with Mary Oliver. I worked off of her book Devotions and Upstream,
Mhm.
And so every poem was in response to one of her essays or one of her poems. And so that's just a really great way to spend time with somebody that you love and admire.
Absolutely. You do so many things so right for this fest, Judy. I'm really grateful that you're a part of it. Thanks for your inspired participation.
Well, thanks for all that you do to make it happen, Paul. And if you ever come through town, I will meet you.
I got to go to Austin, Texas someday.
Oh, oh, you know what you should come for? We have this thing called Poetry at Round Top, and it's between Austin and Houston. And it's a 3-day poetry festival that happens every April. You might really like it. And it's a good way if you live someplace else in the country to get spring in a little early so you get 2 springs.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Mark
Uh,
Doty is going to be here this year.
Who is Mark Doty?
Hmm.
I'm going to send you my Frida poem. So maybe when I send that to you, you can reply back with a link to the information on that fest.
That'd be great.
Beautiful. Thanks,
Great.
Judy. Season's blessings to you.
You too.
Thank you.